Oh, hello, and welcome to 2025, where StreamYard has updated all kinds of things, and I'm just playing with the settings behind the scenes here. So welcome. I know Darla's here and Kevin as well. So who else is watching? Say hello. Today we're talking about questions to ask yourself before you start writing a book. So that's what today's topic is. I have a list of questions, and just for fun, I went around and I asked a few different places what they would recommend as questions. And one of those places was my bot. So for those of you who are in the Author Business Accelerator or you're a book launchers client, you may or may not know, inside of the portal, our bot is there, and inside of our future, our software that we will be launching, hopefully by the end of the first quarter this year, we'll also have the bot. And so I asked the bot. Oh, David's here, Reba's here, Jason as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so I am going to show you what the little conversation I just had with the bot. I also asked it some other fun questions, but I was curious what the bot would say. Now, this is a little small. I don't know how to make the bot's font bigger, but I said, those are old chats here. Let's see. Let me scroll on down here. So I said, what are the most important questions I should ask myself before I start writing my book, and why? And by the way, you can call my bot and talk to my bot, and the voice is pretty darn close. But for the purposes of this video and this live stream, I wanted to show you the bot in action. So I said, what are the most important questions I should ask myself? And then it, gives you, well, first gives you some encouragement. She's very encouraging, Julie, the bot is. But then, I was proud of her because her first question was, what is my okay, here we go. What is my most important goal for writing this book? Because knowing that goal is going to help shape everything. So completely agree. Now, here's the fun thing that I really appreciate about the bot is the sources. So you get to see where the bot extracted the answers. And for anybody who has ever looked at our booklaunchers.tv channel, there's, 600 and some videos, probably more, that you can watch. And so it can be intimidating to know what to watch first. So I love that you get references for what to, where the answers came from. And so anyways, we're going to go through, in a little bit more organized fashion, but I wanted to show you that. Then the other question I asked her just for fun, because I was curious, who's the most mentioned YouTube bestie from the videos? And I don't know, I haven't seen Alan say hello yet, but Alan, if you're watching the replay, my friend, you have been the most mentioned YouTube bestie over the years. Oh, Jacqueline Kyle's in the house as well. And Paula and Bill Miller. Hello, everybody. Great to see you here. So yeah, Julie the book bot is quite knowledgeable. I also asked her what resources for identifying the reader. And again, lots of great resources. And one of the things it does down here is it will reference in the citations, so you can list it all. And you see SPAS, so we're putting self-publish and succeed. But interestingly, it referenced the MP3 file. So in this case, it was referencing the audiobook. And then this one was referencing the layout document, which is the original manuscript. So yeah, lots of fun with Julie, the book bot, for getting the answers to prepare for today's chat. And actually, while I am here, I mentioned our Author Business Accelerator, but I also want everyone to know about our free community. So Author Business Accelerator is a paid community. We hold office hours, we have specific training and things like that. But also in my What's Coming Up, more recently, we have our free community, and it's this one on School, and Angela can put the link to join. And see, it says we're live right now. I changed the title of it after it was already said in here. But what I wanted to mention is Alyssa is going to be doing writing sprints with anybody who is part of the free group that we have here. And how do you get access to those writing sprints? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to click on over to this calendar tab, and you're going to click on the scheduled writing sprint or event. So you can keep track of our deep dives and our YouTube lives and all that fun stuff that we have going on when you're inside of this School platform. It makes it super easy. So writing sprints start at 10 a.m. So that is Pacific Standard Time on the 9th. And you just come on in here and you click on the Zoom link, and you'll be hanging out with Alyssa and some other writers for an hour just to get some good, structured, focused writing time and camaraderie. And then, of course, here you can also see that our next deep dive is happening on January 18th. And actually, Alyssa is also going to be hosting that one because I'm going to be in Orlando at PodFest. So if anybody's going to be at PodFest, make sure you say hello. She's going to be hosting this 2-hour deep dive training session on how to make progress on your book in 2025. So this is a little bit of a repeat session of something she did in the past. And she's just going to help you, with, I think, she may or may not, so don't hold me to it, but I think she's going to help you with mindset as well as planning, organization around writing and getting that book done this year. So there you go. And then, of course, in the community, you can hang out with all of our, all the people here, get comments, get responses, get answers to questions, and so much more. So that is there. Angela's dropped the link for you, so you can go ahead and join. All right, so let's dive in to the questions to ask yourself. And the very first one, there's a few different questions, but the very first one is, what is your goal? What's the big picture goal? What's success with this project look like? And I think the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of authors is to say, well, I want to be a bestseller. And I feel like my new goal this month, or this year even, is to basically eradicate that from being the number one goal. And it's not to say that it isn't fun and there isn't, some benefit in being a bestseller, but more and more, I've been watching and I've been listening, and I have yet, I'm listening to introductions on podcasts when I'm at events and I hear somebody go on stage as an author, and I listen and I go, is anybody just introduced as an author these days? No, they are a best-selling author. Now, are they? And what does that mean? I don't know. I mean, arguably everybody can be a bestseller. You just got to change how the list that you're cranking on, right? It can be a category, maybe you're the best-selling author from, area code 89135. Who knows what category it is. Regardless, it's not to say that it's not a goal to have. I get it that you want to get that orange bestseller or whatever category it is. But what I'm arguing, besides the fact that it's not as big of a differentiator for authors as it used to be, is that a lot of intention and energy goes towards a singular event, which is becoming a bestseller. And yet, being an author and reaping the benefits is a long-term strategy and a long-term process. Really, we've been doing this for more than 7.5 years now. And, looking back at our most successful authors, they're the ones that were working it 12 to 24 months after the book came out. They're still using the book as the tool that it is to grow their brand, to grow their business, to develop a platform and continue going from there. And so what does that mean? Well, you can become a bestseller and it can be fun. I mean, I tell people I was number one overall on Amazon, number one in print books. And I say it didn't really change my life at all. A lot of the things that I did after my book came out, I would have still done, regardless of whether I had been number one or not. Now, I did have the advantage of massive momentum because obviously I sold thousands of books in a very short period of time in order to be number one in print books. But it's not like I was joking. I didn't get to dance with Ellen and Oprah didn't call. Like, it was not life changing. And I believe that, I hired a publicist, and this was pre-Book Launchers days. And I hired a publicist and I worked it. I worked my network and I worked the media, and I pitched myself for speaking. And for, a good solid 12 months after that book came out, I was working hard at promoting and using that book to grow my brand and grow my business. And it did and phenomenal things for my businesses, both of my businesses at the time. But it's not because it was a bestseller. It's because I used it as the phenomenal tool that it was. And I opened doors and I stepped through doors and I kept opening doors and stepping through doors and creating long-term success, to which now the book does sell itself, and it does well without me being anywhere near the real estate space at all. So the point is, yes, it was great, but I extracted a ton of energy, a ton of time, really working on that bestseller status. And a lot of authors do. And then they do nothing else. and or they're disappointed if they don't hit whatever milestone they wanted. When in fact, if you just work it, month after month, you can create massive momentum and success and open doors and step through and keep shining. So what's your goal? What is that thing that you're going to look back 12 months from now, 24 months from now and go, wow, I made great progress. I'm really excited about where I am today versus where I was. And that's another distinction. I really honed in on that distinction in last year. I actually listened to it, The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. Really, really great book. By the way, I have a new channel. If you haven't already checked it out, it's No Boring Book Reviews. And that review of The Gap and the Gain is coming out, I think, in the next week. But that book really helped me get clarity on not only goals, but how you look at them and the importance of measuring backwards, because all of us gonna go, that's where I want to be, right? Like that's my ideal. And we measure where we are today against that ideal. And that creates, that creates a gross feeling in your stomach, a feeling of discouragement, versus if you, take right now and write down, where you are today, how many speaking engagements you've had, how many book reviews you have, what your website traffic is, what your email list is, write that down. And in 6 months, don't measure yourself against where you want to be, measure yourself against where you were 6 months ago. And when you start doing that, you see the progress, you see the momentum, it's encouraging, it's motivational, and you'll keep going and create more and more success and build upon the things that are working and keep doing more of them. But to know what you need to focus on, you have to know what your bigger picture goal is. Like if nothing else happens, what does success look like for you? And for some of our clients, that's platform. I've got an audience. I've got people listening to my podcast, watching my videos, or they're getting my newsletter. For other people, it's thought leadership. Well, then you have to define what thought leadership is for you. How do you know? How do you know when you're a thought leader? I think that's a really important thing to figure out, because people get this word thought leader, I guess it's 2 words, this phrase of thought leader gets thrown around all the time. But how do you know when you've made progress towards being a thought leader? Think about that. I think there's lots of ways to determine it. But to me, it really goes back to, are you getting unsolicited invitations to speak? Those kind of speak or be on media or do podcasts. I think when you get to that point where things are unsolicited, you can kind of start to say, okay, this is thought leadership. But you may have a different definition of it. So you have to know what that is. All right, I'm just checking out. There's lots of chatting going on here, so I want to make sure we say hello. Emily's here from Colorado, and Paula Johnson is a best-selling author to my followers. Exactly. And Janine's here from Michigan. Scotland Scorpion is saying good evening, all. Welcome. And I know I just missed somebody. Oh, One World, One Path. Hi, all. Welcome. And Paula's goal is she wants to get her first draft finished by mid-year. There you go. And then going back, and Mary Kay's here as well, and she's happy to catch us live. Glad to have you here live as well. And then One World, One Path wants to publish my first book in February and make my first 100 sales. Okay, awesome. And so again, let's take the example of you want to have your first draft finished by mid-year. So one of the things that I would recommend, again, just using my example of measuring backwards, is to go, okay, how many words do I have today? And then each month look back and compare how many more words you have month by month. That doesn't mean you don't keep the goal on mid-month to have it, or mid-year to have it done, but you can kind of keep going from there. Okay, so back to the goal. So you're starting to write a book. Your goal, you want to make sure you understand what success looks like. So let's go with the speaker path. So let's say you want to be on stages. What kind of stages? Who's in the audience? That's really important to know. Now you want to figure out, your next question is, okay, who is my audience? Like who am I really driven to help? Who do I want to connect with? Who's my ideal business, in my speaking business? Who's my ideal, company that I want to speak to that has this person in the audience? And then you want to look at the goal, look at the audience, and then find where you can intersect the two of them. And one of the examples I give, it's from years and years ago, is that we had somebody come to us who wanted to be a paid professional speaker, like doing keynotes, being on big stages. And she was determined to write a book on her story of estrangement from her family. And I tried to, kind of help her see that the path to being a keynote speaker from telling a story of estrangement is a tough path. I never tell somebody you can't do it, because I think as soon as you say you can't do it, somebody's going to prove you wrong. But, from a realistically, what are businesses going to pay for? Well, they're going to pay to increase productivity, to reduce costs, to improve employee morale, improve team building, because all of those things help the bottom line, help performance, help, navigate change, all of those kind of things. I struggled to see how a story of estrangement is going to translate into something a company would pay to have a speaker come and speak to their audience. So that's where I say you want to look at what your goal is. Now, that doesn't mean she couldn't have used her story, but what it means is she had to use the story to then teach a business, use that lens to teach a business kind of point. And that's not what she wanted to do. She basically wanted to write a memoir about her estrangement and get on stages with that memoir. Now, in certain audiences, you could potentially do that. But again, it has to translate into that audience, and you may or may not be paid the big bucks for it, which was her big goal. Like, she wanted those $25,000 keynote spots. So again, it's goal, reader, and then where does what you have to say intersect so that you're going to get to where you want to go, but also appeal to that reader. And then with the example of speaker, we've talked about this before, and there is a video on this that Angela can find on buyer versus reader. And so when you're a speaker, you have two audiences, right? You have the person who's going to book you to speak, and then you have the person that is in the audience, which is different. It's kind of like for your book, you can think of it as the person buying the book versus the person actually reading it. If you are selling a book to new college graduates or people, teenagers, you have a buyer and a reader. You have your parent or the guidance counselor or, that other person that's the buyer, and then you have the reader. So it's important to kind of consider all of those things. And Angela is quick. She got that out there like lickety split. She's got that buyer versus reader video. So those are some really important questions. The other question, so now that you've got that, the other question to start thinking about is, how are you helping this reader, right? And I mean, you can go deeper into who the reader is. And again, that's topics we cover in Self-Publish and Succeed in great detail. With the YouTube videos, there's, get into the reader's minds. That's another video that Angela can drop here. The big thing with your reader is A, it's not everybody. B, when you're thinking of them, you really want to think of them in terms of psychographics, fears, hopes, dreams, a lot less or a lot more than you think of demographics, right? So demographics will probably play into it, right? Are you writing a book for, like the book Light Smears Action, I think it is, Kenneth Monahan, on stroke recovery. I mean, you've got a certain age group that is more likely to suffer a stroke and to need a book like that. And you've got a very specific buyer and potential reader audience, as well as, because you've got caregivers, you've got people who have suffered a stroke, there's multiple groups there. So you want to think, sorry, Angela dropped it in there. So getting into the psychographics of them more than the demographics, but knowing there's a demographic play as well. So now you've got kind of an idea of that. Now, how do you help them? And this is our hook, right? Again, this is the problem. I call it the outcome of the outcome. So the problem that you are solving for the reader, you offer that outcome of the outcome. And the first outcome might be motivation, right? A lot of people are like, my story is going to inspire. My story is going to motivate. And that's great. It's really hard if you're not famous to sell a story of inspiration and motivation. It's just, you think like nobody's heard a story like mine. Like I hear that very often. And often it's true. I mean, often as much as I've talked to thousands of people, there are still some stories that make my jaw drop. And I'm like, wow, that is an incredible story. I can see it on the big picture. I can see it being a movie, those kind of things. But you still have to sell it. And if you just try to sell it as a story of inspiration, it's not going to be easy to stand out, because you're competing with the latest celebrity memoirs, people who are household names, and they immediately grab people for inspiration because of their name. So you have to have inspiration for an outcome that is going to be specific to that reader, right? So this is about inspiring, a specific reader to have a specific outcome. the fun one, and if you've ever heard me talk about this before, you've heard me say this before, but if your book is about hair regrowth, your first outcome is hair regrowth, but that's not the outcome you're selling, right? That the outcome you're selling is confidence to get the dates that you think you deserve or that you want. It's confidence to get that raise that you want, whatever it is, right? It's the first outcome might be hair, but the real outcome that you're selling is whatever is important to that reader that they think having hair is going to get them. Okay, so those are all really, really core questions to help you figure out what the book is and how it's going to fit into your bigger picture plan. Then, and Gary's here from Utah. Hello, Gary. The next thing is really to now drill down to, are you going to write this yourself? What sort of time do you have? What sort of resources do you have? What sort of skills do you have? And where are the gaps? Because once you have that, you can start to figure out, what's my plan to get this done, right? Because some people, they might think they're going to write it themselves, and then they sit down, they're like, I just don't have time. Some people know they're not going to write it themselves, and some people know they're going to find a path to kind of get it done. Some people have they have more money than time. Some people have more time than money. So those are all considerations and factors to kind of build in, and are really, really important questions to ask yourself. All right, so if, and somebody just subscribed to my new channel, so thank you. My No Boring Book Review channel, where I am sharing, the latest, and not always latest, because some of the books I'm reviewing are books that I've read several times. I've read recently, but I've read them, 10 years ago, like Pitch Anything from Oren Klaff. That's one of the books that I reviewed on the channel because it's just been a great book that I go back to again and again. So yeah, thank you. I'm excited for the channel. We're going to feature Book Launchers authors there from time to time, as well as, just kind of talk about great books for, they're nonfiction. I barely ever read fiction. So even if I wanted to expand, I'd have to bring somebody else in to do those reviews. Okay. So if you guys have questions, let me know. I'm going to pop over and do a draw for everybody that has said hello today. So anybody who has not said hello, you've got a moment while I fumble through sharing my screen and find my random name picker, which switched over to Julie the Book Bot. What did I do here? 1 minute. I think I might have closed my screen. Hold on. So I'm just giving you guys, all I'm doing is giving you guys a chance to get your name in there while I do this. Okay, now this should work. Present, share screen, and random. It's not there. StreamYard Studio, I think this is this thing. Oh, that would show you guys my view. You're not going to want to see that. Now I've blocked myself. Angela, I did it again. I blocked myself. I know. You can see her. She's shaking her head at me.
All the time. Okay. Let me pull it up. I can share it on my end.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And Bill's here and gave the Word Weaver and Mr. Gun Pilot F. They gave them a chance to say hello. And if you guys have any, if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat as well. We'll be collecting those and switching over to Q&A here shortly as well. And Angela was much more successful at bringing this up than I was. So thank you.
Let's see.
Oh, Bill. I don't know when you last won, Bill. So it's all
a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So it's all the usual stuff. It's our hashtag No Boring Books mug, our Oh So Soft journal, which I have right here, and copies of Self-Publish and Succeed, Self-Promote and Succeed. Also, Bill, if you're interested, we have some limited edition copies of Dale Roberts' books. There's two of them. So Angela can put all that in the chat and let us know. And let us know which one you want and where to mail them. So congratulations.
You want me to draw again?
Sure. Let's do it both right now so I don't have to fumble around blocking myself and having to unblock myself.
Let's see.
We need music.
I know, we do.
I actually talked to somebody yesterday. Oh, Scotland Scorpion. Congratulations. I know you won recently. I think you took the journal. but right, is that right, Angela?
You are actually in Scotland, though.
Yes.
I don't think we had Dale's books at the time, though, so those are some options for you.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being here. So email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com and let her know what you would like. And Bill's going to email as well. And I just had a thought and it just vanished. I'll have to come back to it. Okay. So we've got questions coming in. I'll just kind of wrap up some of these questions that I was thinking, again, to recap for anybody who's kind of come in, we started off thinking about your goals for the book. Like, other ways to look at that is, why am I writing this book? Authority, grow a business, personal story, legacy, speaking, really understand kind of that driving force. What success look like for you and how can you measure it? And I threw to the thought of, if you think you want to be a thought leader, how do you know when you're getting on that path? Like, how do you know when you're becoming a thought leader? How are you going to measure it? And then ideal reader, right? What are their challenges? What are their aspirations? What keeps them awake at night? And then really think about how you intersect in there and provide unique value. And that's where your story comes in. And really, I'm leaning on this really hard because AI can write books, right? I don't think it's writing great books, but AI can write books. And so your unique lens, your story, your perspective, your experience, that's really more important than ever, the humanity of it all. So, I don't think books that just share knowledge are going to do very well in the future. They're already not, unless they share a very specific thing for a very specific audience. The thing that's going to sell a book is that combination of knowledge and that unique perspective that brings the humanity into what you do. And that's what's going to make it stand out in the marketplace. And more, because at Book Launchers, we will pitch our clients for, podcasts and live appearances and media. More and more, when we're seeing results, it's more because of the author's story than the book. And then the book is kind of a side, it's mentioned, right? It's the credibility piece that opens the door, but the story of the author is often the piece that is really getting them the attention. And then, so that goes to that hook, the outcome of the outcome that you're creating. And then, going into the stories, the data, examples, but also, how much time, effort, and energy are you ready to dedicate to this process? Because to do it well, it is a lot of time, energy, effort, and a financial investment. And how much you invest of all of those things will vary, right? A lot of people will have more time to invest, so you can reduce the money that you invest. A lot of people have more money to invest than time, and so you'll bring in more help to make things go smoother and rely on you less. And kind of getting help no matter what is vital. It was really cool today. I kind of wish we would have recorded it, but Cassie, who is our lead designer, she was showing us her process for creating custom images. When she has a cover design in mind and how she wants to get a very distinct image, and the process that she goes through to create that image was just incredibly fascinating. And as I was watching it, I was like, this is why you can't just get AI to design a cover. Like, this is why when you do an AI cover, it's garbage. Because she was going through the AI prompts that she would try to get certain specific images, not a cover. And it was comical, some of the things that would come out and how many times she had to go through just to get, a very specific piece of wood was one of the examples that she was showing us today, was how she, just to get this one specific kind of design of wood, how many things she had to go through to get that very specific design. So hiring experts for the things that you're not good at is really, really important. And so kind of understanding your time frame and the resources and all of those things. Of course, we didn't get into all the other kind of questions to ask yourself, because this to me is how you start. A lot of people already are like, I got to find a traditional publishing deal. I got to do, I need to know how I'm going to market the book. And I would say yes, but get the book started, right? That's really most important. And a lot of people will worry about all those pieces and never actually get the book done. I think if you position the book, you could do some market research to understand what other books are out there, what your angles are going to be. I'm not saying, disregard the future of the book at all. What I'm saying is you don't need to know whether you're self-publishing or traditional publishing to write the book in the beginning. You don't need to know what platforms you're going to upload on. You don't need to know, whether you're going to do an audiobook yet, all you need to really know is your bigger picture goal, the audience, and how you're going to use what your message is to bring it all together and get where you want to go. But ultimately, you'll probably need some sort of support along the way, which is, we've got writing sprints now. We've got some support with our school community. So there's some, that's a free level of support. Of course, you can work with us for writing coaches and writers, and there's other groups out there that have other kind of programs. But, it's really kind of thinking about how are you going to handle some of the things that are definitely going to come up, which is writer's block, time constraints, imposter syndrome, all the choices and not knowing where to go and what to do. So planning ahead for those things and having, some idea of how you're going to navigate those things. So you could ask yourself some of those questions now. So, phew. All right, that's all I was going to cover. So what kind of questions do we have so far, Angela? All right. Declan. So will you be accepting submissions to your book review channel? Yes, in the future, I think we will. And I'm not quite sure how we'll handle all of those, but I'm already getting people sending me books. So I'm not certain. We'll have some sort of a process that people will have to go through for that. But between our clients and the books that I read, we've already got a pretty long list of books to go through. So yeah, we're working on that, but it'll be some time before we hit that point. Emily says, I'm new to the school community. Where do you recommend I focus for my first 100 days there? So I think it depends. This is a hard question because I think you have to dive into specifically what's going to benefit you, because you can spend a whole lot of time in communities and groups and forums and trainings and waste time. And so it really depends where you're at and what problem, you need to solve kind of next to really get you where you want to go. So my recommendation, there is a course inside of there. It's a 30-minute course that walks you through an overview, high level of how to write a business book, a book for your business. So it covers, somebody who's brand new, which wouldn't be you, Emily, because I know you're already well-versed and have watched a lot of videos and, are very informed. But for a lot of people who self-publishing is totally new, or even publishing, because I talk about the different publishing paths, that's a great crash course. So that would be a good starting point. But for the most part, I would say hello, check the calendar, and prioritize the things that are going to move you closer to where you want to go for your own path and your goals. All right, Gary says, should I put an ISBN on books that I give away for lead generation or save them for books I sell? If you're giving it away, you don't need an ISBN. If you plan to publish them in some format and distribute them somewhere, like if you're giving free books, well, even then, you don't really need an ISBN for something you're not selling. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything when I look at that, but you really only need it when you're selling them for the most part. I mean, if you're giving it in the libraries, that's different, but usually the libraries are selling it. You're selling it to the libraries. So yeah. That's it. Okay, cool. And so we don't have every Tuesday and Friday when you comment the day a video is released, we enter you to win. However, Val, who pulls our lists together over the holiday break, she did not pull our list together. And I found out 20 minutes before that the list wasn't there. So I owe you guys 2 extra prize pulls. And so Angela, if you can remember, I think Shane's doing our next live on Amazon ads. So back here in 2 weeks, Shane will be doing a session for you all on Amazon ads. So, and Angela will be here supporting him. So you guys can give him the pleasure and honor of giving away 2 extra spins of the random name picker once Val has loaded everybody in. Cool. She's nodding. You guys can't see her. I can see her. She's nodding. Jeff just asked, have you done any AI videos? So where it's not me. So I guess the question is, do you mean content about AI? If so, yes. If you're asking, have I produced videos with AI? Not really. So I have played with it. I've cloned myself. And ultimately, I love my bot. So what we were talking about at the beginning. And Delphi, which is the service that I use for that bot, has the ability to produce a video clone. And I just haven't done it yet, but I've seen it in action, and you can actually send it to Zoom meetings for you. So I have so many meetings for the rest of the month. Maybe I should do that. But that said, there's lots of programs out there, and I have friends that are doing channels completely without their face, and they're only using AI for production. But, I really enjoy producing videos. So I think for me, the heart of the answer of that, if you're asking, have I used any AI to produce my videos? This is the thing I like. Like, I like to, produce videos, create content, and teach. I'm one of those people who really likes to learn it. I like to experiment and see what's working and what's not, kind of come up with my own perspective and then share it, teach it. And that's, I did that in my real estate business, and that's what I love to do in this business as well. So I don't foresee replacing myself with AI for that. But if AI could go to some of my Zoom meetings, that would be awesome. Julie is AI. That's why she doesn't age. Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's also filters that are on videos now, so they just make you timeless. All right. Any other questions? I see Mary Kay says, such good points, Julie. I procrastinate by exploring the details that don't matter right now. Yeah, it's a common thing, and we all do it. So definitely don't beat yourself up for it. But that's why I kind of say, it's the old analogy of if you have to go get groceries, you don't sit at home and go, okay, I got to wait till I know exactly all the path where I'm going to go and make sure all the lights are green, because they're never going to be all green. And, there might be a traffic accident and you got to go a different route. So you kind of just got to get going, and you can figure out the other pieces as you go along. And, I think that's why you have the big picture plan, and then you start on today. Content, mainly how writers are using AI. Yeah, I've definitely done that. So Jeff, I have a few videos that kind of come to mind. I'm just trying to think. I did a whole, the last live stream, I think before the holidays, I did kind of an AI prediction video. So that would be the live. I'm more saying this for Angela's benefit because she'll find the link for you. But I think it was the live before the holidays. It was like a 2025 predictions, but I talked a lot about AI. I also have a video that's very popular on the channel on cloning your voice to produce an audiobook with AI. And then I've done a few others. I'm trying to think, but that might be a good topic for an upcoming one, as far as like specific tools and ways to use it. I know we talked about it in using AI for marketing and a few others, but not a specific video hasn't come to mind. Thank you. Angela just dropped the AI predictions one, where I showed you, some of the tools out there, like the cover creator from Publish Drive and a few other things that are available on the market now. And AI clone your voice. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. For the republish of my book, nonfiction, what is the minimum I need to add? Book is currently 82,000 word count. So if you're asking, what do you need to add to make it a second edition? It's more like a substantial change. I don't know an exact word. There might be a percentage. This is a question that Alyssa would know the exact answer to. And off the top of my head, I'm not certain. There is some discretion, I think, to this as well, but I'm not exactly sure when you say republish of your book, what that means. But if you mean a second edition, you have to just make some substantive changes, like add a chapter or, make big changes to some of the content inside, and then it's a second edition. Cool. All right. I think we're done for the day. Shane, so a couple of reminders. There's the writing sprints. So go to the school and you can attend those with Alyssa on Thursday. And then on the 17th, I think it was, you'll be back here for a deep dive with Alyssa on getting your book done, making progress on your book in 2025. And then in 2 weeks, you'll be back here again with Shane, who's going to walk you through Amazon ads. And then I'll see you guys, I guess it'll be February next time I see you on a live. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a fantastic day and next couple of weeks. Bye.